A British charity that helps victims of forced marriage recommends hiding a spoon in your underwear if your family is forcing you fly back to your old country, so that you get a chance to talk to authorities after metal detector goes off. Have you or anyone else you know done this, and how did it go? This is good advice, seriously. I have worked at an airport and have spoken to a security officer who helped a woman stop being transported and killed. The woman did not know she wasn't going to be coming home, until she got to the airport and her husband went to the toilet and she realized only he had a return ticket. She somehow managed to quickly think to hide her bangle so that she could set the metal detector off and have to be searched. As the officer was up close and searching her, the woman whispered, "Help me." The officer quickly took her for a private search, grabbed the woman's bags and passport to his protocol and went into the private search room. The woman fell on the floor crying, begging for help, so they called the police. The husband started to get suspicious and tried to break his way into the room, and the officer had to push against the door. Thankfully the police turned up straight away and restrained him. He was arrested and she was given protection and moved to a new city to start a new life. It was harrowing to hear, and really awful to know that this goes on. If you have any suspicion of something like this happening, even an inkling, please do something, call someone. A couple of weeks ago I read an article about a woman from Romania who was going to fly to Spain to work as bartender, but when she was at the airport she discovered she was going to be prostituted by a mafia. She wrote a "help me" note in a napkin she hid inside her passport, and at the control the Romanian police helped her and the procurers were arrested. It is the closer to that situation you asked. Link, in Spanish, sorry. https://www.elespanol.com Reportajes 20180209 Sos Servaleta Esclava Cayeron Sandulic Hermanos Proxenatas 28347277760.html. This one is serious. My friend is from Uzbekistan, and forced marriage is extremely popular over there. She was told of a partner at 14 and got married unwillingly to a farmer's son a year later. When he wanted to go on honeymoon to Rome, she took advice from friends who had heard about the spoon trick. Sure enough, after a week in Rome she put the spoon in her panties and was pulled over by authorities, where she confessed. She married another friend of mine in America, and she says she is happier than ever. The trick saved her from an unhappy life in marriage, so if you need to grab the spoon and put it near your junk. One of the coolest moments of my former law practice was getting a court to emancipate a young girl whose parents in her birth country had commanded her to return from a U.S. visit to marry a 55-year-old business pal of her dad's. In telephone testimony to the court, the father emphatically insisted that it was his right to give her to any man he chose and that her age and wishes were irrelevant. He also refused to let the child's mother testify despite being ordered by the judge to put her on. It took a little more than that to carry the day for us, but not much. Lots of lawyers in lots of cities around the world will vigorously pursue this kind of case at no charge. Just contact the local court or bar association, if that's at all possible. Added one day later, I will be grateful if this story, which is in fact absolutely true, empowers even one person to seek or render help. This only works in the case if forced marriage involved transnational movement. And even then they can easily circumvent it by going by land if the distance is close enough. Problem is, or at least in my nation, most of these forced marriage happen within the nation, and almost exclusively in the Monograds area, where the central government has no control over, and no desire to stir up the hornet's nest. They just go outright capture the bride, force her into marriage, and unless the bride manages to break out before they rape her, yes, rape, or gang rape in many cases, she is screwed, because once they rape her, she is viewed as belonging to them. That is why if you travel to northwest of Vietnam to Monograd area, you will see Hmong girls with knives. Those knives are used to stab these grooms at it. I forgot to add, those knives are used to kill themselves if they cannot get away. We flight attendants are trained to spot human trafficking too. It's tough because handlers scum are getting smarter. Some brave girl left a note in the lavatory for us to find on a flight, and flight attendants were able to stop her from being trafficked further. https www.mpnews.com Storyline Airplane Mod Emp Flight Attendants Train Spot Human Trafficking N7161881 Edit. Since my thread has some attention, I do want to point out that you too can be on the lookout for human trafficking. If you see any of these signs listed on this government website, please let an airport authority know, or if in flight, let one of us flight attendants know. Do not engage the suspected people. We want in flight either for the suspected person's safety. https www.dhs.gov Blue Campaign Identify Victim? Source Google.com Medium CP Cutton Campaign Org.search Fi 18. Broadel Situtum Content Story is term defined %20 trafficked. I read about this as an anti-female genital mutilation technique. FGM is illegal in the UK, but some parents will take their pubescent girls home to meet their aunt for treatment in the African nations where they are from and where FGM is legal. I'm security officer in airport. You don't have metal on you, activate the metal detector. As you're walking through, the detector bump or hit the side and it will cause it to activate. I'm sure gangs, traffickers and crap family will clock onto the spoon and underwear trick. I think there were multiple discussions about this on Legal Advice, along with other posts about people trying to avoid being sent away for marriage. I'll try to find them. This is awfully specific, but I want someone to show up with a serious answer. I am super late, but I have a good friend that I met in Haiti who was married off at 17 from Ukraine to the United States. Her husband was in his 50s and she didn't know that she had a choice. After living and sleeping with this man for 2 years, she figured out that she doesn't have to be a slave to this man. She stole a bunch of his money and bought a ticket to Haiti to do disaster relief work, and then a ticket back to Ukraine. She is happily married now with a man she loves to death, and has a son who is, I believe, 5 or 6 now. We don't get to talk as much as we used to. I miss the heck out of that woman. She is stronger than anyone I have ever known. There are stickers in the ladies' toilets at Birmingham Airport, UK, that say, "Is there any reason you don't want to travel? Call number 30 to get help from a police officer. You're in the green, pink, purple toilet." I always thought that was great for women who feel trapped in scary situations. Edit. To answer some responses, it's a catch-all for anyone in an abusive, scary situation. Not just targeting the extreme, but anyone who feels unsure or unsafe. I think it's meant for terrorism whistleblowing also, therefore, in many of these cases, I think people do have access to phones. Edit 2, I haven't been in the men's, so maybe they have them in there too, but I wouldn't know. Not an answer, but I've heard from people I know that they use the same method, spoon in underwear, if a woman is going to another country to help stop FGM. I don't know if this has helped anyone, but I thought it was a clever plan. Edit. FGM female genitalia mutilation. Sorry for abbreviating it to those who weren't aware of what it stood for. A girl in my hometown was taken to Pakistan. She ended up drinking bleach to get home. Just over a year later, her parents killed her and dumped her body in Cumbria. Her name was Shafili Ahmed. My dear friend works intensely for a charity in Cambodia that rescues little children from the child sex trade. Little girls and boys, as young as 1 year old. I love seeing her photographs from the time she spends with them and the joy she brings them, several times a year, and relentlessly on various social networks, in person and through fundraising. When I first saw photos of her with the kidlets at the rescue centers, I realized all the kids would hold their hands in front of their eyes like goggles, thumb to finger. I asked why. It's so the traffickers can't identify their victims, find them and kidnap, or kill, them. Reality check. This is real. If you're not actually a citizen of the UK or USA, but the country your family are taking you to, what can Western authorities do to help even if you do the spoon thing? Damn, dude, That was specific. I'm sure there are like 30 people who used a fork instead and can't reply. I live close to a small Yemeni market here in the US and have become friendly with a young woman who works there. She told me she does not want to wear her hair scarf anymore because people stare at her or insult her. She also told me that under her headscarf she's a completely different person, that she likes to drink tequila. Problem is that her family has taken and hidden her ID and passport so that she can't ever leave. She can't go anywhere on her own. She's a really sweet person, and from the conversations we have, sex, booze, crushes, she really isn't who the headscarf makes her out to be.